These are Vitrified Diamond Water Stones from Practical Sharpening. These are prototypes that Practical Sharpening decided to send to me, reached out, said, hey, we want to send you these prototypes. And my initial response was, are you sure? Are you sure you want to send me something you've only got one of? But they said, yeah, we want evaluation on them. We want to know what you think and the quality and all that. So I said, fine, I sent them out. And my initial impression of the stones, aside from the specifics of things like apex formation and edge longevity and that kind of thing, was that the stones, I liked them very much. I thought that in sharpening, just the feel of them, the general impression of them was that they handled themselves very well. These are they're diamond throughout, and they function like a water stone. So the surface wears, and you get fresh abrasive that's released. They wear very, very slowly. They appear to load, but it doesn't seem to affect cutting at all. Now, these need a soak in order to use them. They're not splash and go, so a good 5 minutes or so in water, and after that you should be good to go. You might need to give them a dip from time to time as you're using them. This is a 400 grit, a 1000 grit, and a 3000 grit. Vitrified Diamond Water Stones are really, they're cutting edge technology, probably even more so than the metallic bonded stones that are hitting the market at this point. Vitrified Diamond Water Stones seem to be what some people consider the final frontier, given the performance that you get out of them. So I was very excited to evaluate this product, and I really wanted to see what I would get. I've used them on a handful of different high carbide steels, but what I really wanted to evaluate them on was S90V. S90V being kind of the beginning of the 10V class steels, and it's also, S90V is a steel that I carry very much. Fairly basic in composition, 2.3 carbon, 14% chromium, 1% moly, and 9% vanadium. And what you're left with is a steel with outstanding edge holding, even without taking it to a super high Rockwell. I mean, it doesn't have to go to 65. At 60, you've got outstanding wear resistance. Corrosion resistance is good. It's around 440C. And toughness, generally between 440C and D2. So it's an excellent EDC steel. The problem with S90V is whether or not you can sharpen it. I mean, that's where people get hung up. Sharpening S90V, if you know what you're doing, if you're a sharpener, it can be great. It's phenomenal. If you don't, if you're not on that level, it can be a bear to sharpen. So, I mean, that's where the hang-up comes in with S90V, or can come in. In evaluating these stones, I saw very early on that they cut very well and they handle themselves very well. What I was questioning was, you know, apex formation was good, and I was seeing that early on, that I was getting good apex formation with the stones, nice hair whittling edges. They did very good with that, and I wasn't finishing with the 3000. I was finishing with a Spyderco Ultrafine and then moving on to strops, the same way I would with diamond plates. But that's fine. I mean, I don't know if we've got anything yet that's gonna beat that formula. So I was kind of treating these similar to the way that I would diamond plates. However, they leave a higher polish, so it's a finer edge, but it's a finer edge from diamond. So that kind of brings something else into question, which is edge longevity. And that makes a difference. I mean, if I can get better edge longevity out of using plates, then it brings into question, where do these fit in? To evaluate that, I sharpened this pair of 3 in S90V using these stones. It was a 400, 1000, 3000, Spyderco Ultrafine, and then strops. Polydiamond emulsions from Ken Schwartz on leather, starting with a 4 micron, then a 1 micron, quarter micron, 1/10 of a micron. And then I put the knife in my pocket and I started carrying it. Now, in carrying this knife for evaluation, I wasn't really paying attention to what I was doing. I wasn't following the cutting that I was doing. I was just using the knife. And I wanted to see, just through use, not really, you know, making it a scientific thing, how long would the edge continue to whittle hairs with stropping in the picture. If the stones have any chance, I knew that if the stones had any chance of standing up to something like diamond plates, that the edge would continue whittling hairs for some time. It wouldn't go away right away. If your hair whittling edge, if you lose it immediately upon cutting, what you're talking about is you're talking about apex formation that's not as strong as it should be. I carried the knife for 14 days straight for 2 weeks, and it continued to whittle hairs with just a minute or so of stropping. What that told me is these stones are doing a very, very good job. You're talking about a high quality product here. Whether or not the hair whittling edge will last a step longer or a step shorter than it would with diamond plates, that's another question. But my initial question was, were these on the level to give apex formation that would even contend with something like plates? And the answer is yes. I mean, absolutely. Again, which one holds out longer? I'm not sure yet. I'm not there. The other question is, with plates, you're not going to get a high polished edge. It's a coarser finish. With these, there is a degree of polish that you get from them that's very nice. So that comes into play as well. For this video, I wanted to sharpen another knife in S90V. Like I said, I carry S90V a lot, and I really have a thing for Spydercos in S90V with carbon fiber handle scales. So for the video, I thought I would sharpen this Native 5 in S90V carbon fiber handle scales. This is a knife that I picked up a while back, did a review on it, and it's one that I hold very high in my opinion on things, kind of like this Para 3. So in sharpening the knife, this is a knife that if I'm going to sharpen it, I want to be very careful, and I really want to get it right. It really makes a difference to me. This is one of the knives that's in my pocket on a regular basis because I really value the knife and I really enjoy it. It was due to be sharpened. So for the sharpening, starting off with the 400 grit, giving the stones a soak, and also going to the strops and reloading the strops and making sure that the surface of the strops that I was dealing with were in good condition. Oftentimes, if I'm just sharpening for myself, I don't bother messing with the strops or reloading them. Not unless it's really needed, but when you're dealing with something for a video, I'll go ahead and reload the strops. I thought that they were due anyway, so I applied new compound to all the strops and set them aside. By that point, the stones were done soaking. Starting with the 400 grit, working on edge formation, apex formation, brought the edge up, formed a burr one side to the next. The 400 grit cuts very fast. It does a very good job. These do wear and release fresh abrasive, but they don't seem to dish very easily. I've sharpened a number of steels on these, and including some extremely high carbide steels, and I'm just not seeing dishing issues. In fact, to check it, because just to look at the stone is kind of hard, if you're using diamond plates to true water stones, what you'll get as the stones flatten is that, at least with DMTs, because DMT plates are flat. I mean, they're what DMT calls true flat, and they are. They're absolutely flat. What you'll get is, as the water stone becomes completely flat as well, it'll stick to the stone. I guess the water in between causes it to stick, and it's also almost difficult to get off. You have to slide it sideways to get it off, so you're not going to break the stone. So I took these and I put them to the back of a DMT plate. I wasn't trying to true them, I just wanted to see. I figured the back of the plate was probably flat as well. And after repeated sharpenings with very high carbide steels, what I found was the stones stuck to the back of the plate, which tells me they're still extremely, extremely flat. I don't know if it's perfection. I put a straight edge on them and I couldn't see any light coming from behind it. So dishing doesn't seem to be an issue with these. If it is, it's my understanding you can easily flatten them with silica carbide. So I've got some of that. When it comes up, I'll go down that road. But for now, it's not an issue. Working with the 400 grit, establishing an edge, establishing an apex, apexing the knife, burr on both sides, taking my time with it, being slow. You know, I really wanted this knife to come out perfect. If the stones do what I think they're going to do, and they perform how I expect, it's going to be in my pocket for a while, in rotation, being used. So it's not a quick edge that I want to throw on there. After the 400 grit, I moved on to the 1000, working with that. Again, apex formation, burr formation. Now the burr from these after the 400 is very small and it's hard to detect, even with a light. These leave a different finish than diamond plates. Diamond plates are aggressive and they leave burr formation that you can see. You can see it with a flashlight. You can feel it with your finger. These are a little bit different. You get burr formation, but it's harder to detect. So it's really it's a matter of feeling it with your finger pad than seeing it. Maybe if you hung around long enough working on the stones, you could work up enough of a burr, but I wasn't doing that. I wanted definite apex formation, definite burr formation, but I didn't want to hang around too long. The longer you're on the stone, the more chance there is of making a mistake and messing up your angle and having to start over. After the 1000 grit, I moved on to the 3000. Worked with that. The polish starts to come up. The sharpness starts to come up. Working out scratch pattern from the previous stones. I mean, that's what you're doing with that 3000. After that, I moved on to the Spyderco Ultrafine. Working with that, and I spent quite a bit of time on the Ultrafine because I'm really setting it up for the 4 micron strop. I mean, the Ultrafine is working out cloudy spots and that kind of thing in the bevel. After the Spyderco Ultrafine, I moved on to a 4 micron strop on leather, poly diamond emulsion. I worked with that, cleaned up the apex, you start to really bring a polish up. After the 4 micron, I moved on to a 1 micron. That's where the polish really steps it up. That's where the sharpness really steps it up, at least with S90V. That's where you start to get hair whittling edges and that kind of thing. I mean, in fact, oftentimes 1 micron is fine. Now, it depends on what kind of stones you're using. Different stones and different sharpening routines or progressions will give you a hair whittling edge at a different point with a given steel. In this case, it was 1 micron where S90V started to whittle hairs. I wanted to take it a little bit farther than that, especially given that this was, not only did I want high sharpness, but I was shooting for some degree of a polished edge. So I then moved on to a 1/4 micron on leather, and then I finished with a 1/10 of a micron on leather. The edge that came up from this was, not only was it a high polish, I mean, the polish did come up. It's not as perfect as, say, a 20K Suhiro with a waterstone progression. On a more basic steel, something like 1095 or even something like ZDP or XHP, that's going to have a better polish, but that's kind of a different animal. But the polish on this is fine. I don't have any complaints about it. The sharpness also came up. It's a less aggressive hair whittling edge, but it's absolutely a hair whittling edge. I mean, there's no argument that you can make against it. I was very pleased with the results. I think that the stones are doing very well, and I was very happy with the degree of hair whittling at the edge came up. I mean, in both cases, both the Para 3 and this Native, you're talking about it whittling the same piece of hair over and over and over again over the same length of hair. So I think that the stones are doing a great job in that. I'm interested to continue using these stones and see how they do. Um, I think that the technology of vitrified diamond water stones is, if the manufacturers can keep the cost from going astronomical, these type of stones could easily be where things go. Um, I mean, that's what's interesting about it. You know, it's a question of where are we going to go next in the world of abrasives and sharpening stones. Um, and vitrified diamond water stones are, as far as the new products that are just starting to hit the market, the new technology that's just starting to hit, I think that vitrified diamond water stones are showing the best performance out of the new products. So I was very happy to evaluate them. I mean, in fact, when Practical Sharpening reached out to me about them when they sent them, it wasn't even for a review. They didn't ask me to do a review. They just wanted me to evaluate the product and let them know what I thought. I asked them after using them if I could review the stones, and they said yes. But I mean, initially it was just R&D for the company. I mean, it was just me evaluating the stones to let them know what my take on it was. I was so pleased with the product that I asked them if I could do a review. Like I said, I think that this could be the future of where things go as far as sharpening stones are concerned. So I like the product very much, and I told the folks at Practical Sharpening, I said, you have to make these stones. You have to put these out. I really want to see these hit the market, and I know that the folks at Practical Sharpening, one of the interests that they have is keeping costs down and not letting the cost of products go astronomical. So if they could put these out, I think that would be great, and I'm really looking forward to these hitting the market and hearing what more people think of them.